On today's show, I am joined by co-host Casey, and since giving birth, Casey has been binging the television show Friends. So, we decided to brush off an old segment here on the show, the final countdown, and we will each rank our top 5 episodes of season 1 of the television show Friends. And we will be doing the same in the coming months for the other seasons. So join us, will you, as we bring you the one with the season 1 final countdown on Free Your Geek.
By the power of Grayskull, Autobots, roll out.
Morphin' time! Pull.
You have failed this city.
Winter is coming.
Star-Lord.
Finish him. Hadouken! Fatality.
And welcome to the Free Your Geek podcast. I am your host, Jay Free, and alongside me today, actually, this is the second time we've done it. So I did this whole intro like last week when we first tried to record this. But my semi-permanent co-host, Casey Tremblay, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah,
Times
so
like 7.
so full cards on the table, or show of hands. Oh, that's actually going to be a callback later. Cards on the table. We recorded this last week, and then we had a bunch of audio issues. So, trying to remain socially distant, using my mixer and Zoom and a bunch of different sound machines, my iPad to play like sounds through the mixer. I think we had some crossover with Zoom where it didn't work appropriately. Therefore, I decided, let's just do Zoom one-on-one. All the sound effects you're going to hear are going to be all done post. You guys don't have to know that. But Casey's going to be the, it's weird because I'm so used to calling KB. I want to say KC. It's kind of like, it makes sense. And KB, the reason I mentioned KB is KB's doing his own thing right now. KB's got a lot of big life events happening. He will be back on the podcast soon. He's just got a lot of things going on right now, both personal and professional, that I will not get into, but he's got a lot going on. And I want to talk to him tons of Marvel, because I think the last podcast we did was Falcon and Winter Soldier. And since then we've seen the Loki series, the new Spider-Man trailer, the new new Suicide Squad movie, try saying that 3 times fast, came out, and I watched that a couple of times. Mason sounds like he would have enjoyed that too.
I think so.
So you're going to hear Mason in the background for throughout the remainder of this podcast. He's going through some changes right now too. Got those molars and bicuspids coming in. So you're going to hear him all happy. And we're going to catch up with Casey here in a second. But as far as all the geek stuff, and now as of this recording, the Hawkeye Disney Plus series trailer just dropped too. So there's tons of stuff going on. Lots of video game trailers came out. I posted all of those to the Free Your Geek Facebook page, so definitely check that out. And yeah, so without further ado, I mean, you guys should already be familiar with Casey, but for those that are unfamiliar with Casey, why don't you just give a quick rundown of who you are, some things you geek out about. You talked about Mom Brain a little bit off air. We want to get into that, but you've been on the show a couple times, just to kind of reintroduce yourself.
So my name's Casey, aka Miss Black Mamba. That is my gamer tag on Xbox and Twitter. My handle, I think that's what you call it. So I became a mom 6 months ago. So my geeking out has kind of slowed down a little bit. I was streaming Call of Duty, which is the biggest thing I geek out on. That and Harry Potter, which I force my son to wear Harry Potter outfits. So, but yeah, I haven't streamed since last October. So it's coming up on a year. So I'm hoping to one day, when my schedule with the baby gets a little bit more on track, get back into that sometime. And yeah, that's just mom and, mom life, mom brain. That's every day.
Well, and the thing is right now he's teething and I
He's
actually
teething, yes.
I do goof with you and I tease you because we have you here on the 4041 media family where your Twitch channel is connected. And
It is.
as soon as we connected, you're like, yeah, I haven't streamed in a while. I haven't gone on Twitch.
But my followers are so faithful because I literally haven't. I still go on Twitter, and I still try to keep up with like as much as I can. I haven't played the new Call of Duty. I haven't played the older Call of Duty since like all the new stuff came out either. So I still go on Twitter, but my Twitch, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't streamed in a year, and I still have all my followers. So I still try to jump on and like support other people. But it's just it's hard. I forget and with a teething baby.
I love that. And I was actually looking at, you tweeted a day ago about Modern Warfare because it was happy
because it
National
asked
Video Games Day.
yes.
Also,
and Modern Warfare was my that's where it all started.
I have to I'm floored by this, believe it or not. I'm looking at some of the mutual followers or followers that I know on your Twitter. Yeah. And local hip hop station, Hot 96.9 follows you.
They do. I interact with them on Twitter a lot. They had me call in one time to tell this story about like what's something a friend did to you that you like. I forget what exactly it was about. I'd have to go back through my tweets, but it was basically like, tell us something a friend did to you one time of like betrayal or something. And I had a story. So they're like, oh, can you call? So I'm in my car, like calling.
Hilarious.
So I interact with them a lot. Me and Ramiro actually have the same birthday. So
we used
to joke. Yeah. So we used to joke about that. And we'd talk Walking Dead back and forth too.
Oh, excellent. So for those listeners that don't know, Ramiro and Pebbles used to be on Jammin' 94.5 back in the day, back in my childhood, my adolescence.
They were mine too.
Right. But they ended up moving, or they ended up like contract disputes, and then Ramiro, Pebbles, Melissa. Yep. I don't know who else. I don't know. I don't listen
to DJ Polly
Well, there's Pup Dog, right? Or there used to be
Pup Dog, yeah, that one. But I actually don't know if he was on Jammin'. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he was. I remember that.
He was. But I thought so. I wasn't.
I don't 100%. Listen. I don't listen to terrestrial radio anymore. So
I haven't listened to it. I was listening to it like on my way to and from work because I only worked like 10 minutes from my house. So I would just like I'd throw it on sometimes and I'd catch like the second date update sometimes or stuff like that. But I haven't listened to them in 6 months.
Well, I had a little off topic here because I do want to say though, for those listeners that haven't heard Ramiro or do remember Ramiro, I think he's probably one of the more entertaining radio hosts. And then him and Pebbles and even Melissa too. I shouldn't leave her out, but they all had I think Mason agrees with me. They had a great chemistry all together. And they're just very, very entertaining. So I used to love listening to them on 94.5. Actually, back in the day, they also had a rapper who used to rap the sports wrap up, Acrobatic, local rapper Acrobatic to the Boston area. He used to do the I forget what they called it, but I don't
remember that.
He used to recap all of the sports games as they were from the previous day. Like usually with the Red Sox and the Patriots and stuff. But
yeah, we don't want to recap it yesterday, but I actually met Melissa and was Pebbles there? Melissa, I met Baltazar. There was someone else. I think that was from Kiss Went Away. Baltazar and Pebbles. Yeah, I met him at Wahlburgers, and I met Melissa at Wahlburgers years ago. But yeah,
look at all these local celebrities you're meeting.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, no wonder you have like important. Like you probably have like people following you on Twitter from like radio listeners and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
It's definitely possible. I have interacted with some people that, on Hot 96.9 and then you like tweet something and then you interact with people. So
I might have to tag Ramiro and Pebbles and whatnot on this podcast when I send it out,
right?
See if they'll retweet it.
Like, shout out, right?
Hey, shouts out to them.
Right, but, absolutely.
They're awesome. But let's get into the crux of our conversation.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be doing with Casey here, since she's not as affluent in the Marvel or DC or superhero realm.
Shamed.
No, you don't have to be shamed. We were trying to think of a cool thing to do in the interim, something that we can both geek out about. And I wanted to bring back an old concept. And we're going to be doing a little segment we call the Final Countdown. And we're going to be ranking. We're going to be doing, I think, 10 shows. We're going to start with season 1 of Friends. And every episode that Casey and I do together, we're going to rank our top 5 favorite episodes of that season of Friends, as well as our least favorite episode of Friends. So what we're going to do is Casey's going to start with 5. I'm going to go to 5. We're going to go to 4, 3, 2, give our least favorite episode, and then conclude with our number 1 favorite episode of Friends. So without further ado, we're going to take a break. And once we come back, we'll get into the Final Countdown.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
4041media.com is your one-stop shop for fresh, locally sourced media. In addition to the Free Your Geek podcast, there are a number of informative and entertaining podcasts that you can find at 4041media.com. If you're into movies, check out Movie Theater Time Machine. The cast of Nick, Kaz, Dan, and Jocelyn take a trip through movie history. And if you're more into the murder, mystery, and motive, check out the Psych Your Crime podcast. Host Nicole Mann takes a deep dive into both the how and why people do the terrible things they do. Want to exercise your body and your mind? Join Nick Tabor on Honest Fit Talk with your trainer Nick as he dispels myths, misinformation, and other hurdles to work on your physical and mental health in a safe manner. And do you like sports? How about sports history? Then come on in, sit down for a bit, and let Brian tell you some of the history of the New York Yankees on the historic Pinstripes podcast. And if you're more into the mystical side of life, then join Haley and sometimes Jelly for some tarot card readings and occasional shenanigans on the Moon Tribe Tarot YouTube page. Are you more of a video gamer? Well, 4041 Media is home to a number of different Twitch streamers. Check out Mr. Bojangles 1984 as he grinds his way to becoming a professional streamer. Spoiler warning, he's already pretty damn good at it. Gizmo 508 is all about low-key game streaming. And Reclesis is on his quest for a world record or several on speedrun. And you can also hang out with former guest and occasional co-host of the show, ex-Ms. Black Mamba, as she enters the war zone in Call of Duty. And 4041 Media is growing with more content being added all the time. To listen or watch any of these aforementioned shows, head over to 4041media.com. That's 4041media.com. 4041 Media, fresh, locally sourced media.
And welcome back to the Free Your Geek podcast. I am your host, Jay Free, and with me is my semi-permanent co-host. We went from KB to KC. And
going down
Casey,
the alphabet.
Yeah, that's it. That's how we're doing it. And I'm going to let you take the lead because we're going to come to my favorite segment that I've always done on this show, or we try to continually do, but I love it. It's just super easy and fun and entertaining. Casey, what do we call this segment?
The Final Countdown.
Yes, we call this segment the Final Countdown.
It's the final countdown. The final countdown. Yeah. Whoa.
And on today's Final Countdown, we are going to be breaking down season 1 of Friends, our top 5 favorite episodes, as well as our least favorite episode of the season. So Casey, starting with number 5, what is your 5th favorite episode of Friends season 1?
It's my 5th favorite episode of season 1 is the one with the East German laundry detergent. So let me preface this real quick by saying I fall in love with these episodes by like one-liners. So literally an episode will have one line or two lines that I love, and I'm like, that's my favorite episode. But this episode, I love it because I love watching Rachel figure out how to do her laundry, because that was me at one point in my life, had no idea. Even now, I just throw everything together and nothing bad has happened yet. So I like it because she kind of starts to, show that she can be independent. This is also the one where Monica and Joey go on a double date with Angela and Bob, and Joey tricks Monica into thinking that they're brother and sister. So it's just, the whole episode is just so awkward. And she's eating chicken wings, and that's like not how you eat a chicken wing, and it drives me absolutely nuts. But this is also the one where Rachel and Ross have their first kiss, and I'm a sucker for love, and I just love their love. They're just so cute, and their first kiss is just so cute. And then, Ross turns around and whacks his head, and it's a good episode. So that's my number 5.
Excellent. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about that episode later on. And I want to say, I love the fact that you're already picking up in KB's shoes and being like, oh, Jeff said that during the first recording. I'm going to take that and make it my own.
You know what? It's so funny. I was thinking that. I was like, oh my God, I didn't write down, I should have wrote down notes from last week, but I wasn't prepared to have to redo it. And then I literally sat there and I was like, oh, damn, I hope I don't steal what he was saying last week.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But you elaborate better. So I feel like I'm just learning.
See, you elaborate better. So thank you. What's your Twitch streaming handle tag, whatever you want to call it?
Miss Black Mamba.
It should be called Miss Backhanded Compliment.
I've actually heard that a lot. So you know what? You're probably right.
That's awesome. And I have to ask, because I don't recall, how do they eat the chicken wings that are totally wrong?
She's like eating it like a little bird. It's just, and there's so much chicken left on it. And she's just you got to eat the whole, just like a man, just eat it. There's no proper way. You can't eat it at a fancy restaurant. You just got to go in for it. She's just and she's making that noise, which is annoying. But then she's throwing away half the chicken. So. Got you. Yeah.
Well, that's a great number 5. My number 5.
I've been through this. No, I am not calling him. I don't care if it is his kid. The guy's a jerk. No, I am not alone. Joey's here. What do you mean, Joey who?
Tribbiani.
Joey Tribbiani. Yes. Okay. Hold on. She wants to talk to you.
Hi. Yeah, it's me. Oh, no. We're just friends. Yeah, I'm single. 25. An actor. Hello?
She's not much of a phone person.
Yeah. So, what's the deal with this father guy? I mean, if someone was having my baby somewhere, I'd want to know about it, you know?
Hey, Nick Finn, am I interested in your views on fatherhood? No.
Okay, look, maybe I should just go.
Maybe you should.
Good luck. And, take care, huh? You know what the Celtics' problem is? They let the players run the team.
Oh, that is so not true.
Oh, it is.
It isn't.
It is.
Breathe. Oh, no.
Ugh. What is that? Something exploded.
It's just a water breaking. Calm down, will you?
Water breaking? What do you mean? What's that? Water breaking?
Breathe.
Come on, Lydia, you can do it. Push him out. Harder. Push him out. Way out. Let's get that ball and really move. Hey. Ho. Let's get... I was just... Yeah, okay. Push.
Where have you been?
Oh, just had a baby.
Mazel tov.
So how did you know I was even here?
Your mom called me. So is this her?
No, this is a loner.
I'm sorry you had to do this by yourself.
I wasn't by myself. I had a doctor, a nurse, and a helper guy. So, did you see who won the game?
Yeah, Knicks by 10. They suck.
Yeah, they're not so bad.
And yes, my number 5 is the one with the birth. And the reason why is I just really enjoy kind of, we talked about this last week, so I don't think this one's on your list. If I can't recall, I don't want to give it.
It is
give it away.
not. Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
Thank you. So my reasoning for this was we saw in earlier parts of the season where Carol and Ross have now separated or they've divorced. I can't remember, but she's come out as a lesbian and she's now dating Susan, and Susan and Ross have kind of a hostile relationship back and forth. Like, this is the woman that stole my wife away, and Carol is pregnant by Ross. So there's a lot of lead up to it, which I think you'll get into at some point, if I'm not mistaken. But just the animosity between the two kind of comes to a boiling point during the Carol giving birth, and they both get locked accidentally in a janitor's closet. And they kind of almost hash out their differences a little bit and almost become leave on a friendly term. And that's how Ross and Carol's child gets the name of Ben. So I think it's just going back to your point about like the storytelling. I like how the plot continues to evolve, where you have these two different characters that have that animosity, and then they kind of put aside their differences or realize kind of what's important. Like in the, obviously a child coming into a world where they're all going to be a parent to it. Like that's bigger picture type thing. And I think that's just really, really cool. So that's why that one is my number 5, the one with the birth.
Good choice.
Comments or questions before we move on?
No, that's a good episode.
Okay,
like
moving on to number 4. Casey, what is your number 4 favorite episode of Friends season 1?
Okay, my number 4 is the one with the blackout. Like I said, I love the little one-liners. So literally the beginning of the episode where Phoebe's about to sing her song about what life is, and the lights go out and she goes, "Thank you." Like that right there. And end of episode favorite. No, I love that part. But this is also the one where Chandler gets stuck in the ATM vestibule with the Victoria's Secret model, which I literally just watched it. Jill Atkins. I literally always
in an ATM vestibule with Jill.
Put Joey on the phone. That's my favorite part, because the whole time we see him, like walking around, and we hear him thinking, and she's just looking at him like, and he's smiling. He's like being really weird. And she obviously can't hear what he's thinking. We can, because obviously it's the show. And he's just so funny. Like when she offers him gum and he's like, "Is it sugarless?" And he's like, in his head, he's like, "When she offers you gum, you just take it." And then he spits it out and puts someone else's gum back in his mouth.
What exactly would that gum be?
What was it?
What would that gum be? Gum would be.
Oh, it was.
Oh, come on! You said this last week.
I said it last week.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes. Did you say, what is it? Gum would be perfection? Was
perfection?
It?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you talking? I know. Okay, gotcha.
Mom
yeah,
brain.
he said gum would be the mom brain. Gum would be perfection.
All right.
So
if you're gonna be the co-host here, you have to. When I lob these softballs, like you need.
I
to
gotta pick them up.
Yeah,
I gotta.
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I gotta get them. I gotta be quick. I'm not quick with that. So like, if you insult me, I'm not coming back till like 10 minutes later. So just a heads up. But going back to the gum, when he finally says, "Oh, I'll take that piece of gum now," and she's like, "Oh, because it would be perfection." Like, I love that whole vestibule part. The blackout part was okay. That's where you get into when they introduce Paulo. But the vestibule part is my favorite. And then at the end, when Chandler looks up at the camera and he's like, "Bank account number, blah, 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 blah. Can I please have a copy of that tape?" Like, Chandler's one of my favorites, and I love him. And that's one of my favorite parts. So that's my number 4.
Excellent. I think that's a great episode. It's not on my list, but that's a great episode. Oh, somebody does not like that episode.
He does not like that episode. No. He does not like that episode.
That's because he wanted Chandler to make a move instead of just inner monologuing.
He did.
He wanted
did.
Chandler
he was like,
to make a move.
Yeah, he's like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah. Well, my number 4.
How could someone get a hold of your credit card number?
I have no idea, but look how much they spent. Monica, would you calm down? The credit card people said you only have to pay for the stuff that you bought. Still, it's just such reckless spending.
I think when somebody steals your credit card, they've kind of already thrown caution to the wind.
Wow, what a geek. They spent $69.95 on a Wonder Mop.
That's me. Oh, Monica, you are not still going over that thing.
This woman's living my life.
What?
She's living my life, and she's doing it better than me.
Look at this. Look. She buys tickets to plays that I want to see. She buys clothes at stores that I'm intimidated by the salespeople. She spent $300 on art supplies. You're not an artist.
Yeah, well, I might be if I had the supplies.
I mean, I could do all this stuff, only I don't. Oh, Monica, come on. You do cool things.
Oh, really?
Okay, let's compare, shall we? Oh, it's so late for shall we?
Do I go horseback riding in the park? Do I take classes at the new school?
No!
No. So unfair. She's got everything I want, and she doesn't have my mother.
Yes, my number 4 is the one with the fake Monica. And the why is, I think the Monica story still works. So essentially what happens is Monica has her credit card stolen, and somebody else basically assumes her identity and starts doing a bunch of things that typical our Monica, the one we know and love, wouldn't necessarily do. And once Monica actually realizes what the identity thief has done, she's living my best life. She's living. So I think that still kind of holds true as far as things that might not necessarily, as we live our life, we might not achieve everything that we want, or we wish it could be different. We wish we could be doing something. And it's basically this person who is basically stolen from Monica is doing all those things. I think it's just very, very interesting. And the other reason I really like this is Joey's agent, Estelle, essentially suggests that he creates a better stage name because Joey Tribbiani is too ethnic. And Chandler tricks him into going with the name Joseph Stalin, only for him to be rejected at the audition upon finding out and being appalled about the dictator's actions. And then later at the audition, Joey decides instead to use the name Holden McGroin.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was by his own design or if somebody else tricked him to go with that name, but that just cracks me up. And that's really, like, I think both Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc, couldn't think of his name for a second. Both of those guys are like, I kind of go back and forth whether Chandler's my favorite or Joey's my favorite.
Yeah, it's
but
tough.
we'll also talk a little bit later though, because David Schwimmer, I just feel gets so underappreciated for his comedic timing. But we'll talk about that.
Yep. Yeah, you did. You brought it up last week. So.
In a little bit, but yes. Anything you want to add?
No, I like that one a lot, and I think that people's identities get stolen all the time nowadays. So I think that was a really good episode.
And yeah, we should mention that, and I know I mentioned it when we first tried to record it last week, but what you'll hear a lot about as we talk about this is also like cultural impact. There's a lot of things that we kind of hear or see throughout the show that for its time was kind of innovative, but now seems like old hat. It's not just Friends though. We see that everywhere and
that's the thing, and I totally agree with that. And it's now you wouldn't see a show like it now with the jokes and stuff, but at like at the time, you can't go back and change what's come out, you know what I mean? So and it sucks because when you try to talk about it, like there are episodes I like that there's certain parts that aren't appropriate today. Do I still watch it and I laugh? Yeah,
of course,
it's funny.
And we'll actually get to that because I know from last week one of yours is one like we'll talk about that.
Yes, it is.
But I also mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, like even the ATM vestibule one, right? Like we look at that when that I think Friends started in like 93, 94. So I think that was 1994. They're still calling landlines at the apartment. You know what I mean? Imagine like people that are watching it today, you know, it's found its new, I don't know if it's on Netflix or where it's on. It's on, I'm assuming
you can watch HBO Max.
HBO Max. So yeah, they paid a boatload of money for Friends because that was like one of the bigger, you know, streaming series on Netflix and whatnot that a lot of people were binging. And, you know, a lot of it doesn't, for these like younger kids in their early 20s or even late teens, like the fact that like a landline, and it's not in this season. I know a few seasons from now, and we might talk about it then, so I might be forecasting or predicting the future, but there's an episode where somebody calls Monica that Monica accidentally called, and Phoebe goes, oh, she must have one of those caller ID things. You should get that. And to me, I hear that, and it's just, you're mentioning technology that is so archaic and old at this point.
Yeah,
now.
it's so like we would like people nowadays don't know what life is without caller ID.
Right.
Like you used to have to *69 to know who called you.
Right. Or think about it now. If Chandler got locked in an ATM vestibule, they'd be able to call with their cell phones. He'd even be able to take a selfie if he wanted to with Jill Goodacre. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be, because he uses the payphone, I believe, right? Or the phone. They don't.
He uses her cell phone.
Okay.
So she offers her cell phone. So he doesn't even have a cell phone, which is absurd.
Right. So yeah, so that's why it cracks me up when you see certain things, or the series dates itself by using technology. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see that all over the place in different television shows as they go on. But actually, I don't know if you're a fan of The Office. You're making a face on me. The listeners can't.
I'm not. And people always tell me like, you gotta watch it. I always click on an episode and I'm like, oh, let me give it a try. But it's like the middle of like the third season.
All right,
and I'm like, I don't know these people.
We should do a watch party at some point.
Okay,
we can start on that. That sounds like a plan. But no, the reason I mentioned that is because The Office is another show that's getting binged right now on Peacock. And, you know, Peacock paid, I forget how much to get Friends off of Netflix, or waited till the contract came to an end to move Friends off of Netflix. But it's funny I mentioned that because there's an episode there where they're having a bet on like all the things in The Office that people may or may not realize. And one of the characters, Kelly, talks, ad nauseum. She's like talks so much. So one of the things they bet on how long she can carry on a conversation. So one of the other characters asks her about Netflix, and she's describing how you go online and you change your queue and they send a different DVD in the mail. And I can only imagine kids and young people watching this on Netflix being like, what is that? And
what are you talking about?
Netflix,
what's
actually,
a DVD?
before it was a streaming service, it was a website that you would order a disc and they would send a disc to you. You'd watch a movie and then mail it back, and your next one on the queue would be delivered to you. And The Office,
totally forgot about that.
The Office started in 2005. So think about that. Right? I think 2000, maybe 2004. But it's just like, it's one of those things where, it was on for like 10 years. And it was like, it started in like, even like that it's like, it doesn't seem that long ago, but it was like, it came out like 17 years ago, like that's the way life was. It was totally different. Anyway, getting off topic, moving on to number 3. Casey, what is your number 3 favorite episode of Friends season 1?
And this is one actually we were just touching upon. So my number 3 is the one where Nana dies twice. The title of it is sad. I was very close to my grandmother. So when Ross says something about the sweet and low packets, when it was my grandfather. I was very close to both my grandparents. When my grandfather died, my grandmother used to say that she would find pennies everywhere. And it was like a sign from my grandfather. So it's not the same thing, but Ross, like he sees the sweet and low and it's like, brings back memories. So I love that one. And when they're in the hospital and then Ross goes to kiss her and she jumps up, I laugh every single time. It's like creepy, but hysterical. But this is also the one where everyone thinks Chandler is gay. And this is what we were talking about a little bit with like, nowadays it wouldn't be, I think it's funny because I don't know how to say it without being like, he's such a nice, funny character that like, you could see where it would be, because I don't know, guys are like mean. And Chandler is just so funny. And just the things like when he walks in and he's like, oh, we look nice all dressed up. And he's like, oh, it's things like that, isn't it? Like he's aware of how he dresses. He's aware of just like the little comments he makes. And I love it. I love that when they call it the quality of him being gay. I love it. I think it makes him him. So this is also the one where Ross falls into the open grave. And then Phoebe has to give him painkillers and he's like high on them at the end of the episode. And she's like, oh, how'd they work? And Ross is like, the first two didn't do anything, but the next two. And then he just starts like being all crazy. And that part too, he goes up to Chandler and he's like, I don't care if you're gay. And the girl's like, see, I told you, and walks away. Yeah, so I love that episode. And that's my number 3.
Excellent. My number 3 is the one with all the poker.
And I raise you 20. What?
I see you're 20. Raise you 25.
So you're 25. And Monica, get my purse. Rachel, there's nothing in it. Okay, then get me your purse. Okay, babe. Here you go. Good luck. Thank you. I saw you're 25, and I raise you 7. Team.
Joey, I'm a little shy.
That's okay, Ross. You can ask me.
What do you need? What do you need?
15.
All right, here's 10.
Here, I got 5. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, I am calling your 17. What do you got?
Full house.
You got him.
That's all right. That's a tough hand to beat.
I thought we had them.
Oh, well, when you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards, But, look how happy she is.
And the reason I like this is specifically for that end scene. We talk about the whole sitcom thing, the romance. Will they? Won't they? We talk about Ross has feelings, unrequited feelings for Rachel, and then he's doing all these like nice things, but he's also trying to be a friend to her, and he's also in love with her, and it's a whole kind of like mix of different things. And it comes to the point where they start playing poker, and Ross kind of like doesn't really shoot himself in the foot, but he makes this claim like, hey, you're going to see a different side of me when I play poker because I get aggressive. I'm not a nice guy, all this other stuff. And it all comes to a crescendo, if you will, where they go back and forth and they keep anteing up. And then Rachel with when she reveals her hand and Ross says basically he busts and he couldn't match. She won. And then just the talk with him, Chandler and Joey after the fact, knowing that he probably let her win. All of that, I think just kind of sums up his feelings for her and the fact that he's kind of like willing to like let her win and make her feel good.
Yes. Adds to their love story. Just another little part.
So that's my number 3, the one with all the poker.
I like that one. That was a good one.
So moving on to number 2, Casey, what is your number 2?
So my number 2 is the one with the monkey. I love this episode. I love it and I hate it. No, I mostly love it. This is the one where David's introduced, and I didn't really like David. I like the actor who, I know we talked about him last time.
Hank Azaria.
Yes, he's awesome. But I like Phoebe. I like who Phoebe ends up with in the last one. But so the monkey one, I love when Ross introduces them, basically saying that roommates are lame, and they all just kind of look at him because they're all roommates. And there's a part with the monkey where Ross brings the monkey to Monica's New Year's Eve party, and she's like, he says something about like bringing a date, and she's like, well, none of your other dates have ever urinated on my table. And then Ross is like, listen, no one felt more ashamed about it than Marcel, and for him to come back in here, like he gives the monkey like emotion and like makes it so human, and like it's funny. I love him and Marcel. Yeah, so that the party, I love the party. I love with Janice makes a comment, and I actually had to rewind it a couple times, but so they all make a pact to not have a date, and they all end up bringing dates except Ross brings Marcel. But there's Janice is just being Janice, and Chandler was like, this wasn't us getting back together, and Janice goes, one of these times it's gonna be your last chance with me. And it's just funny because she just keeps giving him chances. But that's my number 3.
Is that your number 3?
Nope, my number 2.
Oh, see, there you go.
Number 2, sorry.
No, it's okay. I love it. I think that's great because that's, you're filling into that co-host role nicely, because if I'm not the one messing up, the co-host has to. So
okay, awesome. I'll take that job today.
Yeah, absolutely. So my number 2.
This must have cost him a fortune. I can't believe he did this.
Come on, Ross. Remember back in college when he fell in love with Carol and bought her that ridiculously expensive crystal duck?
What did you just say?
Crystal duck.
No. The love part?
Flannan.
Oh my God.
Oh, no. That's good. Just keep rubbing your head. That'll turn back time.
Yes, my number 2 is the one where Rachel finds out. And the reason why is it's just sitcom 101 for me. Chandler accidentally lets it slip that Ross is in love with her, and just his reaction to that and trying to like cover up for it, I think is probably one of the funniest moments of season 1, personally to me. And then obviously Rachel rushes to the airport to talk to him, but she's unable to reach him before he gets on his flight. And then she kind of like contemplates, and she thinks, she kind of imagines what it would be like to be with him, or how he would be as like a boyfriend or a significant other. And she goes to meet him as his flight returns. And, we all know what happens there, but that sets us up for season 2.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's my number 2. The one where Rachel finds out. Comments, questions before we go into our honorable mentions / least favorite episode?
Nope.
All right, let's go into that least favorite episode. Casey, what is your least favorite episode of season 1?
My least favorite episode, and this actually ties into one of your favorite episodes. My least favorite episode is the one with the sonogram. And I dislike this episode because of literally when they're at the sonogram and Carol and Susan are talking about the baby's last name, and they like completely exclude Ross, and they're just like, it doesn't even make sense. And he never said like he didn't want to be a part of it, and they're just kind of like pushing him out. So it's like, I don't know, it's literally, I hate that. I literally skip over that episode. I just don't like that whole part where they're just, it would be his last name, so Susan's last name wouldn't be anywhere on the kid. You know what I mean? It's just, it just rubs me the wrong way. And I'm all for them being together, be happy, be in love, get married. But that baby's not Susan's baby. It's Ross's baby. And how you would think his last name wouldn't be on it is like ridiculous.
Well,
so that's my least favorite episode.
And I agree with that to an extent, just because from a parental standpoint, and that's actually kind of a hot button topic right now. But we also, again, Ross and Carol made that baby. Now, could they maybe compromise and hyphenate? And again, I think that's kind of like that whole animosity that feeds forward all the way until the birth of the baby, and that's when he gets his name Ben. So I think that's where you see the start of it, or at least part of it, part of the animosity.
You can't give a kid, like they were talking about it in the sonogram, you can't give a kid 3 last names. That's like I think Carol says that's child abuse, and it is. But why Susan's last name? When they're not married, like Susan and
that'd be
aren't
different.
even married. So it's like your name, that shouldn't even be an option. So the fact that they even like made it that was, I just thought it was selfish.
I agree. I would agree with that. But that's good. That's good. That's a good reason to have it as your least favorite episode.
Yeah.
My least favorite episode is one of your favorites. It's the one where Nana dies twice. And the reason I just make mention of that is for me personally, like, the death in as far as the characters and stuff goes, and we'll get to one of my, it's weird because I just watched an episode today a little earlier where it dealt with another death in the Geller family, and Monica got a dollhouse out of the situation.
I saw that. I watched that one too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that one handles it a little bit better as far as the death perspective. The Ross falling into the grave and being high on the medication, I can give or take that. That's an average story to me, but I think the whole thing with Chandler being so offended why everyone would think he's gay. Again, not that he shouldn't be surprised or whatnot, but I think the way he handled it for the time and place it happened, it wouldn't fly today.
No, definitely not.
Like, I think him just being more incredulous and almost like, I don't want to say against it, but just like having that kind of like anger toward, or like, it's not like, oh really, that's kind of weird, like what do I get? He's more he's more like, why would you think that?
So we can stop doing
that. It's a little bit more aggressive than it should be, or at least should be accepted. And I think we talked about this last week. I think one of the creators of Friends is gay, Marta Kaufman, and I can't think of the other guy's name, but I think
you were saying
he and his husband were together for a long time. So again, it's just a little surprising in this,
mm-hmm.
And I think it would be handled totally different in this day and age too, where again, it could still be
Definitely.
something where, oh, maybe you come from the place of, maybe that's why I'm not attracting women. Like, what am I doing? Like, and trying to come from that perspective more than like looking at it as a negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why it's my least favorite. But now let's move on to our number one. So of all of season 1 of the television sitcom Friends, Casey, what is your favorite episode of season 1?
So my favorite episode of season 1 is one of your favorites. The one where Rachel finds out. I love this. I know you touched upon it. This is the one where Chandler tells Rachel that Ross loved her by accident. The pin that Ross gave to Rachel was one that she had mentioned a while back when they were walking in a store or walking past an antique shop or something. And he remembered. So just the fact that he like remembers little details about her. And then the whole episode, she's like, trying to see if she's going to tell him or not. I love it because then she's going to do it and she takes that risk and goes to the airport. And then, one of my favorite lines is when Rachel runs up and she's like, oh, I just got to tell him something. And the stewardess won't let her on because she doesn't have a pass. And then she's like, can you just tell the guy in the blue jacket something for me? Tell him that I love the gift and Rachel will see him when he gets back, or something along those lines. And she runs up and she tells the wrong guy. So she tells this old guy in a blue jacket and his wife's standing right there. And the guy's like, I have no idea who Rachel is. And the wife's like, I do not believe, like, she's just looking at him like, okay, sure. Love that part. And then, the ending always is sad, but I love that one. That's my number one.
Well, I love like when jokes do that and they kind of like pivot and you think you know where they're gonna go and they switch, like you're not expecting it, and it's just I love, and that blue jacket bit is also very, very good. I'm glad you brought that up because that was
I love
great.
that part. I feel like Friends does that a lot, like that's why I love the little one-liners, because like you expect it to go somewhere but they switch it up and I'm just like, that was way funnier than what I thought it was even gonna be. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, moving on to my number one.
Okay. Basically, you want to use one machine for all your whites. Okay. A whole nother machine for your colors. And a third for your delicates, and that would be your bras and your under panty things.
Okay. Well, what about these are white cotton panties? Would they go with whites or with delicates?
That would be a judgment call.
Really stupid. But I feel that if I can do this, you know, if I can actually do my own laundry, there isn't anything I can't do.
That does not sound stupid to me. No, it's like the first time I had to make dinner for myself after Carol left me. I'm sorry, that's all the time we have. Next on Ross.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, we had this cart.
Yeah, well, I had a 24-inch waist. You lose things. Now, come on, get out of my way.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, maybe I wasn't being clear. This was our cart.
Hey, there weren't any clothes in it.
Hey, quit making up rules.
Let go. Come on, this is my car. You know I thought it.
All right, listen, Mitzi, if you want this cart, you're going to have to take me with it. Can you see that?
You were incredible. A brand new woman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I could not have done this without you.
Okay, more clothes in the dryer? I'm fine. No.
My number one, in my opinion, is where all of the three stories work pretty cohesively, and that's the one with the East German laundry detergent. And the reason that all those three stories work, we talked about, you mentioned that Joey wants to date his ex-girlfriend Angela, who's now seeing a man named Bob. So he kind of tricks Monica thinking that she's going out with Bob. And it just, that leads to, you know, all that hilarity.
Uncomfortableness.
Yes. But at the same time, while both of those are like, Monica's trying to find a new guy, Joey's trying to get back with an ex. Speaking of exes, both Chandler and Phoebe are trying to break up with their partners. And you mentioned Janice, and Janice is there. And Tony, I believe, is Phoebe's guy that she's dating. And Phoebe always, like, she just knows exactly what to say. You see her in the background, you can't hear exactly what she says, but they end with her and Tony end up with a nice hug, and he kind of walks away. And like, you know,
smooth.
and Chandler just can't seem to bring himself. He doesn't know how to. He's socially awkward. So it comes to a boil where I guess Phoebe breaks up with Janice for Chandler, and they have a hug.
Yeah.
And the Chandler, I think I can't remember the exact verbiage, but I think Chandler says, "That's it. I'm bringing you every time I need to."
Yeah,
break
we're
up
all
with
let's always break up with people together or something like that.
Which I think is great. So again, you know, you got people trying to rekindle relationships, people trying to meet new people, people trying to break up, and then Ross and Rachel, who still have their will they or won't they. It was definitely their first kiss. You know, Rachel standing up to that pushy woman. And then her small victories there after she does turn her laundry all pink.
Then, like a peep.
And it is their first kiss. And then Ross just kind of taken aback, doesn't know what to say. You see him kind of like think, okay, well, and then he starts I forget what he says, but he walks away and he walks into an open like cabinet for the washing machine, and his physical comedy is so great. And
that's what you were talking. That's what I stole from you last time, but that's what you were talking about. I forget what you called it. There's a name for it, and his slap something.
Slapstick.
I don't know.
Slapstick, so there's
and you said he wasn't, you know, there you elaborated on that point.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm not a big fan of all kinds of slapstick humor. Slapstick essentially is more like physical comedy, like, you know, dumb stuff happening. So for me, just to kind of like see that, and it's if it's well placed and it works for the story, I love it. But just that to be slapstick, just to be slapstick, to me isn't always the best. But to see like David Schwimmer and how he can portray like that awkwardness, like kind of like that resolve, like he's trying to find his words, and he's like, okay, another, and then he walks and boom, he hits it. It was totally unexpected, and I absolutely love it. So that's why it's my number one. Well, hopefully we got this out. I'm going to do a lot of work post-production to get the audio clips in. But
if not, we're skipping to season 2. No.
No, we're going to go right to season 2.
We're going to go right to season 2.
So yeah, I should mention we're going to try to do these monthly. So this will be the one for September. We'll probably have one in October coming through, and we'll have a Friends season 2 in October. So Casey, you got like 3 weeks or so as of this recording to catch up on season 2 and take your copious amounts of notes.
I'm gonna. Yes, I know. I have like 4 pages, just in case. I want to make sure because we're not going to pick. There's a lot of episodes too. There's like because it's funny because when we narrow it down to the 5, I mean we can't do more than that. That's perfect. But there's like 20 episodes in each season because they're only like 22 minutes long. So
yeah,
a lot to watch. A lot of notes to take.
Absolutely. Well, we can get started now, and we'll be back in a month or so.
And maybe I'll be done by then.
Yeah, we'll be back with season 2.
Maybe I can get through.
But Casey, thank you very much for being on. Until next time.
Having me again.
Oh, I should say I can't wrap up the show yet. Any social media that you want them to follow?
So just my Twitter, my handle, or is that what they call it? I don't even know.
Twitter handle.
My Twitter handle is @XMissBlackMamba.
MS Black Mamba.
Yes.
XMS Black Mamba.
As
Ms.
in Ms. MS. But as in Kill Bill, not Kobe, which no disrespect, RIP, but it's from Kill Bill, and I always have to explain that to people.
Excellent. Well,
but yeah, just my Twitter.
On Twitter, she'll put her, if she ever gets streaming again on Twitch, she'll be putting that stuff on her Twitter. And then you can follow us at Free Your Geek on Instagram, Twitter, and jfreethegeek.com. So now that I did that, and give 4041 Media a follow too, 4041media.com. Tons of different podcasts on there. So check that out. And until next time, co-host KC, hit him with the catchphrase.
Get your geek on.
Get your geek on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.